Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us on What's Hot. I'm Shireen Bhan. Let's go straight to one of our top stories today. It has to do with the performance that this government has done or achieved on the environment front. Joining us now exclusively is the Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar. Mr. Javadekar, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Sir, you've said that over 2,000 approvals have been cleared under your tenure. You've unlocked 10 lakh crore rupees worth of investment and created 10 lakh jobs. Project approval period has now been reduced from 600 days to 190 days. If I could ask you to give us a little more specifics, sir, and give us more granular details, is a large chunk of these investment proposals that have been cleared pending projects, stuck projects? How much of these are new projects? Can you give us a sense of which sectors most of these projects belong to?
Yeah. It's about all cases, many of which were pending. In the earlier regime also, they used to get permission ultimately, but they used to take too long, 600 days. How we reduce that period? That is the story of reforms. The story goes like this, that we made the application process online. We have empowered the project proponent to see where his file is lying and for how many days. We can also track from head office where the pendency is there. So we are moving files at a pace. So that is the first revolution we brought in. We decentralized. We had 6 regional offices. We created 4 new ones. So every regional office has 3 states. And these 3 state officials also become members now. There are experts also, technocrats also, scientists. All put together, 40 hectares and below. And all kinds of linear project decisions are made in regional offices. And we are monitoring every month's progress. We standardize the processes. The TOR process, which used to take 13 months, is now taking only 30 days, 1 month. So that's a major revolution. And we have taken policy decisions like giving general approval, extending ECs, general approval to defense infrastructure, giving extension of validity to the EC, and many other reforms we made. Therefore, the load has reduced, and we have increased the speed, and therefore we have achieved 190 days. But by next year, when you will ask me this question, we'll be having only 100 days to be required. And that's the, I have coined a new word. We will not provide ease of doing business as usual. We will provide ease of doing responsible business. And every industry has welcomed it. We have made the norms of many industries for pollution more stringent, but industry welcomed it and implementing it. We are monitoring pollution better way with installation of 24/7.
I'm glad that you talked about sustainable and responsible business, because one of the worries or the concerns is that in this quest to step up the pace in giving clearances, perhaps the environment itself is likely to be a casualty. Let me ask you for specifics, sir, because your government has also pushed through the Camper bill that involves a sum of fairly significant sum of about 40,000 crore rupees as far as afforestation is concerned. Can you give us some milestones now, sir, on what you hope to achieve as far as afforestation is concerned, the role that you expect the private sector to play, even within the afforestation milestones for you?
Yeah, we have given a target in our INDC that by 2030 we will achieve and add 2.5 billion tons of carbon sink. We will create this additional. And therefore, we have to create more and more. Afforestation is the catchword. And therefore, 42,000 crore, which were meant for afforestation, but were not used for afforestation, we have removed all legal deficiencies and have brought the bill which Lok Sabha has passed unanimously. I am very sure Rajya Sabha will also pass it. So that fund will come. The private sector will be allowed. We have already issued guidelines for public-private partnership. We are importing today nearly $6 billion worth of timber every year from outside. That means exporting the jobs. Instead, we should create jobs here. And therefore, we are allowing the patches of degraded land on lease for harvesting. So they will create forest, use forest, create forest. It will be a cycle which captures carbon. That's how carbon sink is to be created. And therefore,
Okay.
that's a big area. It's a public-private partnership and the forest department. And we want to also incentivize tree cover outside the forest area, because forest area is just 20-21%. But target is 33% of forest cover. It will happen only if we incentivize private. And therefore, greening of highways, greening of railways, and greening of Ganga banks, both banks, are the schemes where I promised only one thing, that you green whatever in your land, you will be allowed to cut the trees for further use, and you will be allowed to grow further, and we will not declare your land as forest land.
Okay. Let me ask you this question, sir, because this is a cause of concern at this point in time, and this has to do with the orders or the observations that are coming in from the National Green Tribunal. Now, it's no secret the Heavy Industries Minister, Mr. Gadkari, have all expressed their concern about this business of banning diesel vehicles. Where do you stand on this? Is the government likely to now take a concerted approach in approaching the NGT on how best to deal with this? Because it is causing it is causing uncertainty in the minds of the investors, and at the same time you do need the pollution problem to be addressed. So what can we expect now? Is the government likely to approach the NGT to try and work something out?
No, actually, all departments are now coming together to plead it the case rightly, that when we ban latest vehicles, we are allowing less efficient vehicles on the road. It will pollute more. That's first case. Second important is that last 10 years, Delhi air pollution and other air pollution has become at dangerous level in many cities. But 8 years, everybody was quiet. Only after last 2 years, people are started talking about pollution. That's also a factor to be understood. And third and most important, Modi government has taken already a decision to prepone the migration to Bharat 6 norms for vehicles as well as for petrol and diesel quality with investment of 60,000 crore rupees. And we have preponed it to 2020. So in 1,000 days, we are reducing 90% of pollution throughout the country of vehicular pollution. We have already established, we have launched new waste management rules. We have also launched construction demolition rules. We are also
so what is your argument going to be, sir? The NGT has sent notices not just to the central government but to various state governments as well. And at this point in time, it is unclear whether the ban that's been imposed in the National Capital Region will extend to other regions. What is going to be the plea, sir?
Today, already NGT has cleared that our decision is not to ban in all the cities. They have restricted it to up to Delhi, and the next date for hearing on the additional information is in July. I think the collective wisdom will prevail. After all, NGT is also part of a nation rebuilding. All courts also understand that there is, and Chief Justice has very clearly said, yes, tigers are important, but so also roads and development. And therefore, with proper mitigation measures. So we have taken a policy decision. We have already started action. We are taking action on many fronts. I think all will be taken into account, and finally will not end up with an archaic decision processes where people will feeling unstable and they will be afraid of investing in India.
Okay. My final question to you, Mr. Javadekar, you were talking about the battle against pollution. I know that you've held meetings of the state governments adjoining the National Capital Region, or at least adjoining the capital, to try and address this issue. What can we expect now as the next steps? Is there likely to be a nationwide agenda that you're going to push forward to try and tackle the malaise of pollution? Because you've seen the data and it doesn't show India in good light.
But I'll tell you, that is also not true. That is also a campaign, because they don't study and publish the reports of European and American cities. I travel all over, and all cities in Europe, and some cities are with ozone pollution more, some are with benzene pollution. All pollution is bad for health, not only PM 2.5. But that's different story. I am now going to have Pollution Research Institute also. What is important is we have to act. We want our air to be clean. I believe that we have a birthright to have fresh air. And to that end, what we have done is, we have made pollution norms more stringent for 20 industrial sectors. And with the consultation of industry, and I told my officers very clearly, if today we are at 50 and the world's best is at 100, you ask industry for what they are ready. If they are ready for 65, let us stretch them to 75. But don't go in one jump to 100, because you can have phased approach. But we'll reduce pollution load. And we have done it for all industries. It is getting results. And we are now monitoring it better. So processes within the factories are improving, because we are holding dialogue with them, we are doing inspection, we are putting fines, or we will also close down if they don't improve. Our 24/7 monitoring system has just stabilized. Now with 2,500 industries, we are monitoring on any parameter. If industry exceeds any parameter for 15 minutes, the SMS comes to me. SMS goes to owner.
Okay.
SMS goes to the factory.
Okay.
So we are putting compliance is our catchword now. And compliance will be our mainstay for next 3 years.
Since you're talking about compliance, you had also proposed moving a strong civil penalty law, sir. When can we expect that to happen?
I think by next month, the interministerial consultations will be over, and that civil penalty has to come. And that will come only when this kind of compliance mechanism can be created, only when there are severe deterrent civil penalties. It will be from 10,000 to 10 crores, depending upon the gravity of the violation.
And you believe that the interministerial consultation process will be over, and you could perhaps take it to cabinet as early as next month, sir?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Well, on that note, Mr. Javadekar, thanks very much for joining us here on CNBC TV 18 and taking us through your achievements so far and what we can expect for the road ahead.